I'm just thinking about sentience and inflicting pain and eating things that are sentient. You know, kind of a whole raft of different issues that I've been thinking about recently and in conversation with people on YouTube, Gary, yourself and Laura Layla, but other people who've been involved in that set of discussions really. One of the things I was thinking about was to do with, in a sense, for me at least, going on that thing, there's two related concerns. One is to do with sentience and one is to do with rarity. Because I think I was reminded of this programme I watched on TV a while back. It was about swarms. Fascinating programme actually, about swarms of bees and locusts and different things. But there was a section in it which I think I mentioned before, which is in about swarms of flies that live on this lake in Africa. And certain times of the year they all come inland, and the villagers which on the shores of this lake just get completely swept over with, as I say, swarms of these little tiny flies. And the people who live in these villages, they don't waste these things. The flies are a valuable protein source, so they harvest the flies rather than just treat them as pests, which basically means they go out these large like frying pans which they've dampened and wave them around in a swarm like this. And just millions of them just stick to the bottom of the pans. They just kind of scoot them off and put them in a bucket or something like that. And after a couple of hours of doing this, they've got like tons and tons and tons of these little flies, which they shape into patties and flavour, you know, spice, put spice and things in, and then fry for food. I don't know. I mean, it's weird because it's the sheer quantity is what amazes me. I mean, each of these little patties that they make has probably got several 100,000 flies in, and they're making thousands of these patties. You know, it's just astonishing the sheer quantity of these things. So for me, there's two things playing out. One is to do with sentience. I look at a fly and think, it's not very bright. I mean, I wouldn't eat it myself, and not just because it tastes disgusting, but you know, because I have some kind of weird relationship, possibly not weird, I have some kind of relationship to sentience of even insects. And for some reason I regard flies as being kind of lower down the sentience scale, even though I'm not sure they are. But also just the quantity is feeding into that. You know, I don't treat these flies as terribly important just because there's so bloody many of them. I suppose I'm just wondering about, you know, whether humans would be the same. You know, I'm here in Perranpost, by the way, in Cornwall, which is very pretty. It's a seaside place. Look at that beach there. I've just been walking along that beach with the dogs, and I mean, I don't know how many grains of sand are on that beach, but there's a lot. You know, there's a lot of grains of sand, more than there are flies in this lake, but not more than there are stars in the sky. There's a lot, but I'm, you know, just thinking if there were as many humans as there are grains of sand on that beach, and if there was that many, you kind of have to know that there's multiple copies of every one. I mean, there's pretty much multiple copies of all of us now, but you know, with that many, then each one of us would be cloned many, many times over. So it wouldn't have the uniqueness that we have. And if that was the situation, would we care really about losing a few? Excuse me. Wow. Now, would we care if a few got killed or stepped on or made into patties? Would the I don't want to use the word suffering again, but would the suffering, to the extent that suffering reflects a concern for sentience, I mean, would we concern us that much if there was that much sentience to go around? If sentience was that liberally distributed, would we think, oh yeah, I can make a patty out of a few of these sentient creatures? Perhaps I can make a patty out of those surfers. It's bloody at the beginning of January and people are surfing. People are mad. I don't know. There's the beach. Last look. Maybe you can see the surfers, I don't know.